Ken Pretty here with the Go Center. I'd like to take a few minutes to remind you of three primary ministries that we're offering these days. And I want to introduce you to something new. You might think of these three as small, medium, and large. The small version of our ministry these days is called the One Thing Initiative. The way that works is that I work one-on-one with a pastor on a particular priority of that pastor's choosing. There's a little process we go through to help identify what that priority should be. But the idea is that we zero in on that one critical factor and we work on it for a year. We expand it, we treat it in ways that are missional, and we help to impact the church at large through the emphasis of this singular priority. In the middle, there is the Reboot Now approach to revitalization. It's kind of a lean version. It takes about a year to work through this with leaders in the church. And the framework of Reboot Now is the 5 phases of revitalization. So let me touch on those 5 quickly. They all have to do with alignment, getting everything in alignment so that all the oars are in the water, pulling in the same direction at the same time. We're streamlining ministry to get the maximum bang for our ministry resources. So first there is the alignment of perception, and it's asking the question, where are we? This has to do with assessments. We need to know where we are at the beginning of the process. The second phase is aligning vision. We're asking the question, where do we want to be? Now, obviously, there's typically a gap between where we are and where we want to be, and a great deal of revitalization has to do with strategically closing that gap. Phase 3 is aligning strategy, asking the question, what will get us there? This is where we look at making sure that the things that we're doing are in alignment with our godly vision for who we need to be as a church in our community. Next, there's the alignment of structure. This has to do with the question, who will get us there? We zero in on leadership. Leadership are taking us where? Where do we want to go? What will get us there? Well, leaders need to make sure that those things of vision and strategy are in alignment so that we're not wasting time, wasting energy, wasting resources on things that aren't moving us toward our godly objective. And then finally, there's the alignment of people. We're asking the question, who will keep us there? It's wonderful to get a church turned around and aimed in the right direction, but how do we sustain that over time? Well, this particular phase zeroes in on 2 groups of people. One, the congregation inside the church. Let's make sure that they are assimilated into this vision, strategy, and structure. But secondly, we need to focus on newcomers as they come in as the result of our missional vision. We've got to make sure that they get assimilated into the vision as well, so that they're not only just response to the vision, but now they're actually helping to reach someone else. Now, the large ministry that we offer these days is called the Go Project, a full comprehensive treatment that typically runs about 18 months to 2 years to work through. What does this project accomplish? Well, a lot of things, but the 2 that I'm going to name are this. We're going to combine spiritual renewal with strategic initiative. It's very important that the spiritual elements and the strategic elements are intertwined and working together. And secondly, what we're going to do is create a missional revitalization culture. Folks ask me all the time, how long does this process take? And I will typically say, well, 18 months to 24 months. But that does not mean that a church is 100% revitalized. Revitalization is not a finish line. it's an ongoing enterprise. It's more of a lifestyle. But what we're saying is that within 18 to 24 months, the tools, the concepts, the culture of revitalization will be so ingrained into the church that there's no longer any need for the Go Center to be hands-on. So we pull out of the process and the church continues on with revitalization. Now, of course, the Go Center is always available. And so even after that 2-year mark, we are certainly accessible for ongoing consultation and whatever comes up. Now, this features 5 markers, and the markers go like this. Marker 1, self-discovery. It has to do with establishing a sense of urgency. People will not embrace change unless they're motivated. And so what happens with urgency is we help to build that sense of, we need to do something now. Why? Because the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Secondly, really dives deep into motivation. The idea here is to secure leadership buy-in. Because if leadership isn't united, if leadership doesn't fully buy in, it's not going to weather the storm. Revitalization is not easy. It's going to be a challenge, and we need people that are willing to stay the course. Marker 3 has to do with skill training, equipping the church for revitalization ministry. Marker 4 is implementing the training that has taken place so that we can build revitalization ministry. And then finally, there's marker 5, evaluation. This is the point at which we reinforce revitalization ministry. Now, at this point, essentially what happens is the Go Center steps back, but the church cycles into this upward spiral where now there's more self-discovery, greater motivation, more training, etc., and the process continues. The timeline looks something like this. I don't expect you to capture all of this just by seeing it on a slide for a few seconds. But there's a breakdown in the timing. We're talking about 18 months to 2 years, and this is kind of how it breaks down. Now, quite frankly, COVID has destroyed the calendar for the moment. So the clock is not ticking on the 10 churches that are currently in the Go project. But 18 months to 2 years is the design of the process. So let's move on now to the thing I want to introduce you to, and it's called BOOM. Boomers Out on Mission. Let me just summarize this for you quickly. What I've realized over the years, of course, is that most evangelical churches are in long-term plateau or decline. Now, it's also true that most evangelical churches are aging. The average age of the congregation is getting older and older. So here's what we're finding. As we are getting smaller, we are getting older. Now, the future of the church, of course, depends on our ability to reach young families, young people. But the present of the church might well rest on mobilizing the boomers of the church, who tend to be the largest demographic group. And so I've been working for months now to create ministry that mobilizes boomers, strengthening their faith, strengthening their commitment, but also equipping them to be missional to their peers out in the community. Now, there are several things that have been developed in the way of boomer mobilization or training, but there's one thing in particular I want to introduce. It's called SPIN. It stands for Spiritual Inventory for Boomers. This is a tool that helps people in my age group take spiritual inventory. I've discovered that as we're getting older, more and more people in my age group are becoming open to the gospel because they are realizing that mortality really is setting in, and they're struggling. and some of them are open to hearing about the gospel. So we equip boomers in the church to know how to use this tool in reaching boomers outside. So let me just simply say this. If your church has a large representation of baby boomers plus or minus 5 years, and you want to take a look at mobilizing those folks for missional ministry, please give me a call. So here's the deal, folks. We've got the One Thing Initiative, we've got Reboot Now, we've got the Go Project, and we're now introducing Boom, Boomers Out on Mission. Please give me a call. Amen. God bless.